Hello, it's your Wednesday, and we're back with another video. What are we doing today?
So recently, famous billionaire Rob Hersov has announced his retirement from political activism. He had a lot to say about the state of South Africa and Zuma and Cyril and the usual stuff. But he's made some very interesting points, and I feel like Rob actually understands South Africa better than most people do.
Yeah.
But let's check out this clip first, and then you tell me what you think about it.
Okay.
Escom. Interesting thing. It is the one and only thing that gives us a chance to make a difference in this election. For all the people that are poor, afraid, homeless, and have no money, South African Airways is meaningless to them. Transnet is meaningless to them. Trucks clogging up the roads and polluting is meaningless to them. But when they, in their villages and their homeless areas, in their tin shacks, when the electricity goes down, their one and only device that connects them to the modern world does not work, and they are in darkness. Escom is the message to voters that the ANC is failing. And Escom is the one and only thing that has made a big difference to voter perception, because they know the ANC isn't working.
So what are your thoughts on all of that he just said?
I have not heard somebody spit so many facts in a few minutes. Honestly, I have not. And like, he touched on so many things, like, you know what I'm saying, and each and every one of them are like serious and prevalent issues that we should be discussing and should be looking into. I really am grateful first for Rob having this talk before he decided to resign.
So for me, I enjoyed this part of his speech specifically because it touches on a whole lot of things we've been talking about. Like, for example, we did say in our previous video, remember that video with FMB? We did say that I specifically said that Zuma is probably like top two.
Yeah.
And the only one close to him is,
and he's not
Julius.
two.
Yeah.
Jacob Zuma is by far the most popular politician in this country. By far. Including in the Eastern Cape. I know most of you don't believe it. It is true.
That's what I said. I was like, Zuma's probably like the best politician in the country right now. And the only one close to him is Julius.
Absolutely.
And there are not that many people in this country that can do something like that.
Absolutely. Not all. He doesn't even need to talk much, to be honest, like, anymore. Like, Zuma doesn't need to say much anymore. Like, but people have got his back. That is insane.
So yeah, I found it very impressive. That's why I rate Zuma very highly in terms of like politics. Like, as a politician,
yeah, he's a very strong.
Top two. He's top two. He's top two, and I think the only one comparable to him even is Julius. But the more interesting thing that I took away from what he was saying, right, is that again, he also understood the impact of the ANC and what the ANC has done for people.
Yes.
The ANC is sick and dying, but they're still in ICU, and the brand is still very strong. And you may not realize it, but from 1994 to about 2014, the ANC delivered significant and pragmatic benefits to its voters. And this is what Sean Summers called the Old Testament on the ANC. They did a good job. They loved the country, and they delivered. But from about 2014 onwards was when the rottenness, corruption, evil came in. So you can never say that the ANC didn't love this country. They did, but they don't love it now.
Like, when we have these conversations now talking about the ANC, a lot of people tend to forget that the ANC was once good back in the day. And in that video, when we were discussing why people vote for the ANC,
it has changed people's lives.
Yeah, we said that ANC has actually changed people's lives.
Absolutely. I can really imagine. Just think of yourself, like, your family did not have a home. Next thing, boom, you get a house from the ANC. Let's be honest, there are a couple of million RDPs that have been made. And that person, you've changed their life. You've given them dignity. You know that they've got a home, that security. and then the rest you're giving them money so that they can eat, have bread every month. Crazy.
Other things like free education, free healthcare, like, all of that, all of those things, like, even it doesn't even matter how bad the services are. We complain that we sit,
but it's there.
We sit at a clinic all day just to get a checkup. The fact that it's there for them changes their lives completely.
Yeah.
And some people feel forever indebted to the ANC for that, and that's why they'll never change their votes.
Now it's made as if like people just have blind loyalty to the ANC, and like there's nothing, you know, substantial that's sort of backing that up. And the truth is, that's wrong. That's not the case. Like, people have things to show. There are people who can say that the ANC has changed my life or my family's life in such a way, and it still continues to.
So again, there's like a certain demographic of people, mostly black middle class, and also like white people as well, that do not relate to this at all. And that's why they call ANC voters stupid, or they call them racist, because they can't rationalize why people are voting for the ANC, even though they're so bad.
Because it's just an expense to us, and like the ANC feels like an expense and an inconvenience.
But to some people, it's actually changed their lives. So he understands that. He understands that, no, the ANC were actually good at some point. And there are some people that are still voting for them just based on loyalty and based on being forever indebted to them.
Absolutely.
But he's also understanding that, okay, ANC is losing a lot of support. And they've been losing a lot of support for a while now. It's since 2014 even. The ANC's votes have been going down and down and down. And their voter base has been getting smaller and smaller and smaller, to such a point that now people feel like the ANC will most definitely go below 50% in this election.
And ANC support has collapsed. And this is where I need to apologize for calling anyone who still votes for ANC as a moron. Because they do realize the damage that their government is doing. They do realize we're collapsing, we're deindustrializing. The country is falling apart. They know that, and they are deserting the ANC.
So again, like, people again are not understanding that. People are not stupid, and they like to make ANC voters like stupid or mindless people who can't think for themselves.
That's where you miss it.
Yes, but they don't understand. They don't understand the voter that's voting for the ANC, and that was the whole point of that video.
You calling me stupid, or you calling me whatever for voting for ANC perhaps, but like, how do you assure me that voting for you will be more beneficial to me than the ANC? And sometimes it's either you're not convincing enough to me that you're worth the risk to take, or like, you know, I don't see that happening. I don't see you being beneficial.
And that's another thing we said as well, is that no matter how bad the ANC gets, the opposition parties are
poor.
They're just bad.
Also mentioned,
he touched on that as well.
But the weakness is that the opposition parties are fighting with each other, and should have picked up on that a lot earlier and converted them to vote for the opposition. And they failed on that, which is a great weakness by internecine rivalry that we need to cure.
Like, opposition parties are so bad that they don't pick up on.
They don't pick up
on that. Okay, the ANC is getting bad right now. Let's try to convert them.
It's almost like they were also getting worse. Like,
it's like people were just automatically expecting people to vote for an alternative just because the ANC was bad.
I think because
but you're not providing a good alternative.
Was always like focusing too much on, you know, pointing out the wrongs of the ANC. I feel like the opposition was too focused on that.
That's been the DA's thing. Their whole career is just pointing out what's wrong with the ANC.
Absolutely.
And nobody really cares about that. It's all about what you do for people.
But what's right about you?
And then that was one of the things that people came for me for as well. I was saying that it's not about your merit. Nobody cares about how good you actually are. It's about what you do for people.
A bit of offence recently, but I don't mind, and I'll say it again. One of the biggest issues in South Africa is the majority of black voters are too racist to vote for the best party because they won't vote for, clearly I've got my issues with the DA, but if you were voting on merit, you'd vote for the DA because all statistical fact says the DA are a million times better than the ANC. And why are people voting for the ANC and the EFF? Because they're too freaking racist to vote for the DA.
Nobody votes based on merit. Not even white people. White people don't vote based on merit. Everybody votes.
I mean, there's holes that we can also poke on DA's so-called merits.
Yes. Everybody votes based on interests.
Yeah.
Which party will align to my interest and serves my interest the best? That's what people vote for.
Yeah.
It's not based on merit. Merit is one of the last things people vote for. And I said this, remember that the Phil Craig video even?
Yeah.
That when Phil Craig was busy calling black people racist for not voting for the DA. And I was like, people vote based on their interests.
Yes.
What serves them? They don't care about how good you actually are. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do for me? And a lot of people.
And what scared them immediately away was that I feel like it was so to a lot of people it seemed like, well, we know whose interest this will serve. You know what I'm saying?
And he admits to that as well.
Yeah.
He actually says that no, he gives credit to the DA for working for the hundreds of thousands of people that they work for, and they do a good job at that.
Yeah.
But their policies do not fit South Africa.
They don't align with where we're at.
The DA's policies, and I must say the DA every day work on our behalf, and I want to thank them for all the incredible work they do, hundreds and hundreds of people across the country. But the policies just don't fit with where we really are.
It's great that there's like a white billionaire, a person that has never had to struggle and understand. He doesn't need to understand all these things. He doesn't need to.
He can also act out of touch.
But he can just be out of touch as well and just be like, but the DA is the best, so why aren't people voting for them? But he's taking the time to actually understand the situation and understand the people that he's talking about. Absolutely. Unlike some people that just talk from their perspective and only their perspective, and then do not try and understand.
Wearing blinkers, they're only understanding things the way that they.
So again, he also alluded to the fact that the DA doesn't serve the interest of the people right now. It doesn't serve the interest of the majority.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's why not a lot of people have and will have faith in them.
But a lot of white people came for me for that, saying that it doesn't make sense why people don't vote for the best party.
Oh well, I mean.
Even with the Trickers, remember the Trickers video?
It's definitely not the place.
The Trickers video, people came for me there the most for me saying that people do violent crimes because of poverty.
Yeah.
And people have to do that.
But that's a fact. That's a fact. Like, no, you can't, come on.
There are certain white people that do not understand what poverty actually does to people and what it means.
You're not going to understand poverty if you've never been surrounded by it.
There's some people that were asking...
being either a part of it or being...
There's some people that were asking, so just being hungry doesn't mean that you have to go and...
No, being hungry is going to make you do whatever it takes to make sure your stomach is fed. People will do whatever it takes to make sure that they feed, because it's not easy. It's not just about yourself, but you see your kids are hungry. You're watching your kids hungry and they crying to you like, Mom, Dad, we're hungry. You're going to get up and you're going to do something. One thing that is guaranteed for them is crime. If they commit a crime, they will get the money. And I'm not saying we should sympathize with criminals because nobody likes crime. We're all affected by crime. Crime is not a nice thing. But for us to deny that people are kind of forced into that because of poverty is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just that thing of there's just a lot of white people that just don't want to. They don't want to see a perspective outside of their own. It's like. Obviously,
there's nothing you can do with those.
A person that has never went to bed hungry will never understand what a person who goes to bed hungry most of the time has to do. You will never understand that. So I like the fact that Rob Hersov did explain to the people and that crowd is mostly white people. He did explain that crime is a necessity for a lot of people.
And here's the rugged truth about South Africa: crime is not an option. It is a necessity for a lot of people.
People do you think most people do crime like to do crime? you think they like
do you understand the conflict you have to have with yourself over and over, you know?
Like, most people do not like
It's a horrible situation.
be criminals. They don't like to hurt other people. But some people, like, for a lot of people,
Not everyone is a Jeffrey Dahmer.
For a lot of people, poverty is a life or death situation.
Yeah.
If I don't do this now, I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna make it through the night. So yeah, I really applaud the fact that he did raise that having apathy for poverty is a very bad thing, because if you ignore poverty for long enough, the people will retaliate, and
it will make itself known to you,
and we will have no answers for that, and then it will become very chaotic very quickly.
Absolutely.
And the biggest collective threat to our future is our general apathy to poverty. If we don't cure that, we have a real problem ahead of ourselves.
Like, the crime is already out of control here, so the fact that we're not even addressing it now when the crime is so bad is problematic on its own. So we need to address, like, the inequality and the poverty, and then everybody will be good. It's just as simple as that. But a lot of these points we raised in previous videos, and it's just good to see somebody on this level. And he says it himself, like, he's never had to worry about getting a job, paying bills, having a place to stay. He's never had to worry about the basic necessities of life. He's never had to do that, but he's able to, or he has the capacity to understand
his mind.
A person that has to worry about all those things.
But you need to know that I have never been to bed hungry, and I've never woken up hungry thinking I was not going to get my breakfast. I've never worried about paying my rent. I've never worried about paying bills. I've never worried about a job, much like most of you. But like most of South Africans, they worry all the time. They're scared. And that is not right.
But there's a demographic of people that just do not want to understand.
That just refuse to do that.
Because it threatens their privileges.
Yeah.
So it's good that Rob Hersov, he understands South Africa better than most people
Absolutely.
do.
Nice one, Rob. Nice one. If I just names for myself.
Rob Hersov did make an impact in politics these past few years.
Absolutely.
With his takes and
just being, like, honest, you know, like, you can see, even if he may have been wrong about something, he's honest about it. You can see that he's sincere and he's delivering the things that he says. So that is something that's very rare, particularly in politics.
So yeah, I hope a certain demographic sees all of that and starts to empathize with people more, instead of always just thinking from their perspective.
Yeah. And that's the only way that South Africa will become a better person, a better place.
Anyway, you guys let us know what you think about this whole situation.
Yeah, let us know.
Don't forget to like, subscribe,
and keep watching. Goodbye.
We'll check you guys in the next one.
At this point, they don't even care what the rest of us are
They know the poor.
They
know the poor do not care if Escom is being looted.
Yes.
They know the poor does not care if SA is being looted.
Yeah.
Or PRASA or whatever. They don't care about none of that. They just want to eat. And the ANC is like, okay,
like, they're on survival mode. And if you can give to people that are on survival mode, right, you've secured their loyalty.
So I hope this brings into context why millions of people still vote for the ANC.